Hello, everybody. We're going to give everyone a couple minutes to come in. I see it's still filling up, so we'll give everybody another minute or two, and then we'll jump into things, get started. The number is still rising, so like I said, we'll get going in just 1 second here. Actually, we're 2 minutes past. I think we're good. What do you think, Dwight? I think we're good to get going. I'd say
so. We can go ahead and kick it off.
All right. Well, let's jump into it then. Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate you all for joining us today. We're really excited. We got a lot of great content lined up for you. Also, just real quick, we are recording this. So for those of you, if you have to jump or whatever it might be, no worries. This will be available in our partner toolbox as well as YouTube. And I believe the attendees are going to have it sent out as well. So no worries there, or if you have someone else that wasn't able to join. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it because we do have a lot of great content. I want to make sure we utilize the time wisely and leave some time for some questions and answers as well. So first off, what are we doing today, right? What is the goal of this webinar? So a lot of you are probably aware that Sherweb and SentinelOne, we kicked off our partnership officially in January, so a couple months back. So we're still in the fun honeymoon phase together, so to say, right? So really, really exciting partnership though for Sherweb and for SentinelOne. Probably one of the most heavily requested additions from a lot of our partners for quite some time. So again, we're really excited to add them to our security portfolio, right? For those of you who are already utilizing SentinelOne or looking at SentinelOne, we take pride in being able to bring in one of the top names in the industry as far as cybersecurity, endpoint protection, right? So SentinelOne is something that we have been really having a lot of conversations around, and today's webinar was to showcase and highlight what that partnership looks like for you as the MSP, whether you're a partner of Sherweb already, whether you're a partner of SentinelOne. So we want to dive in and show you what those benefits are, right? And talk about how you can utilize SentinelOne with Sherweb, protect yourselves, protect your clients from these cybersecurity threats that we're all facing today. So again, a lot of good stuff today that we're gonna be cruising through. A couple housekeeping items I did mention at the beginning. If you do have any questions or anything you want to address throughout it, feel free to throw that in the chat. We've got our teams standing by that are going to be able to hopefully answer on the fly, but we will have some time at the end as well. So jumping into it, let's do a couple quick introductions first. I know a lot of you on the call may know myself and Dwight from already working together, but quick introductions. My name is Matt Vient. I am our product sales manager for our security portfolio at Sherweb. I've been with the company just over a year. As a matter of fact, I think a week from today, a week ago today was my 1 year anniversary. So very exciting. We've done a lot in the last year, especially around our cybersecurity posture, mainly for our partners like yourselves who are interested in growing your security posture for you, for your clients, right? How can we check these boxes off? Prior to this, I've been working in the MSP channel with cybersecurity being the top priority for the last 5 or 6 years. So had a lot of opportunity to work with our partners, figure out what's working, what's not working. Security specifically, I'm sure we can all agree, right? The landscape has changed drastically in the last 4 or 5 years, right? So like just taking a holistic point of view, the conversations we are having in the IT realm, right? MSPs with our clients is very different than it was 4 or 5 years ago, right? So as the threats have changed, so have the services and the solutions, and what can we do to now protect our clients more proactively? And that's where SentinelOne comes in, right? That's where we're so excited for this partnership for our partners to be able to utilize such a strong product to be confident that they can say their clients are protected from data breaches, from ransomware attacks, right? Things like that. So we're going to jump into that today. We are very blessed to have the one and only Dwight Philpotts with us today. He is the senior sales engineer at the S1 team. Me and Dwight have had the pleasure of working together very frequently over the last few months. We were just in San Diego last week for our Sherweb Security and Azure Roadshow. as well. So Dwight, I love having him on the calls because he's the brains of the operation, and he makes things sound like they're supposed to sound. And so we're hoping today, for all of you joining, that you're going to have a lot of great insight on what SentinelOne looks like and how that those features and functions work. So let's go ahead and jump into things. First off, I want to do a quick background for anyone on the call who's not an existing Sherweb partner. I won't spend too long here, I promise. I know we want to get into the weed of things, but just so anybody who's not familiar with Sherweb and maybe considering becoming a partner, what does that look like? Where do we come from? So Sherweb, we're more than a cloud marketplace. Is kind of the saying that we run with, right? So while a lot of our partners do initiate that partnership for cloud services in general, we've expanded quite a bit over the last 20 years. We were founded in 1998 by the two brothers, Matthew and Peter Kassar, who are still our CEOs and co-founders to this day. And as you can imagine, we have transformed quite a bit since then, right? We've got 7,500 plus partners, MSP partners around the world. So it's really something we take a lot of pride in, to be able to not only provide things like Microsoft licensing, but also a holistic view. And we'll get into some of this a little bit later in the webinar, but just being able to help check boxes off for the MSPs in more areas is really something that we're proud of. One thing that's really important to note, I always make sure our partners are aware of too, is Sherweb is still a privately owned company. The reason I think that is really valuable is because when we make decisions like partnering with SentinelOne, right, that's something that is dictated from us internally, right? We are able to listen to our partners. You asked for SentinelOne, we brought them in, right? So we are able to choose our path and form a situation where it is a true partnership. If our partners succeed, we succeed, right? So quick background there. I know we'll get into into a little bit more details as we go on. Quick agenda piece, just so you guys have an idea of what we're going to be talking about today. In just 1 second, I'm going to pass the baton over to Dwight. He's going to dive into what is the SentinelOne Singularity Platform, right? What are some of the features? Again, I know a lot of you on this call might already be utilizing SentinelOne. Some of you on the call might be completely new to it. So we're hoping this is going to be able to peel back the layers for all sizes and shapes on the call and get an understanding of what this program looks like, how you can utilize it. And then again, we're going to tie that to how does that work with Sherweb? How does that partnership gel? We'll talk about what those benefits look like. Dwight's going to come back on towards the end and give us some sneak peek information on what is to come from SentinelOne. Always, right, like I said, we're always adding the new features and functions. AI is changing every day now, right? So a lot of cool stuff that we're going to dive into. And we're going to finish up with some Q&A, as I mentioned before. So please feel free, jot down your questions. We want the feedback. We welcome it. And without further ado, I will pass it over to our man, Dwight, and let's jump into it.
Sounds good. Thank you. So once again, my name is Dwight Philpotts, Senior Sales Engineer with SentinelOne. I'm the technical lead for the partnership with us and Sherweb. So today we're going to talk about, when you see Singularity, you can think SentinelOne. So we're going to talk about the SentinelOne Singularity platform that we have. So not only do we have endpoint, but we go outside of the endpoint just a little bit, and we're going to talk about that and how that helps with building our modern defense for the modern threats that you see today. So not only the stuff with the endpoint where we are built for the modern defenses, but also outside of the endpoint. So even starting here, not only are we built for modern defenses, we're built for MSPs. So one of the things that you'll see in our platform is that we have multi-tenancy built into the product. So it's not something that was an afterthought. The fact that the MSP space was something that was a strategic plan from very early on shows in our product. And that's one area that you'll see it in, as well as the level of cybersecurity can be made for the entry-level admin just getting into security to the more sophisticated teams. So our platform can be used by everyone. And that, once again, really helps the MSPs really get into security. Next slide. So starting with the endpoint, once again, we are built for modern defenses, right? We have many different parts of our protection and detection capabilities. So you'll see the three boxes on the left side: cloud intelligence, real-time file analysis, as well as our active EDR code analysis. We can call that also our behavioral technology. The second two are the ones that are really what helps us for the modern types of attacks that we see today. So the real-time file analysis, with that, what we do is we actually create models on not only malicious but non-malicious files. So now we're able to catch some of those malicious files that try to masquerade as a non-malicious files that some of those attackers are doing today. And then the second one, which are behavioral, with that, that's what really helps us to catch a lot of those modern attacks. Because with that, we're able to catch zero-day attacks, fileless attacks, a lot of those more advanced attacks, because we're looking at the behavior of not only a single process, but an entire storyline. So by being able to look at an entire storyline, we're able to catch a lot of those more advanced attacks, even if there's haven't been seen before. By looking at that behavior, we're able to catch that.
Yeah, and
Um,
Dwight,
so
I'll just comment on that because I've been, of course, on many S1 calls with the partners over the last couple of months. Right, I'm on 4 to 5 calls with our partners probably each day right now, and one of the pieces of feedback that our partners really give me quite consistently is that storyline technology, right? Because anyone on the call who's worked with other endpoint solutions, right? Standard EDR, where often it's mainly focused on the malicious content, the bad, right? We're not normally documenting or looking at the good. And I thought that was something that was very interesting and differentiator for SentinelOne when we went through everything together initially, as far as creating that quote unquote storyline, because it's unique in the sense of you can now draw the line in the sand, right? So as the behind the scenes, when we're going in to do things like incident response, right? Now the picture is just it's so clear, and I thought that that was something that was a very unique factor for SentinelOne, and partners seem to really like it as well.
absolutely. And we don't stop there, right?
Right.
So we have multiple layers of detection and prevention that I mentioned, but we also know that nothing is 100% preventable. If anyone tells you that their product prevents everything 100%, my advice to you is run. Not only do we invest in our detection and prevention capabilities, but we also invest in our remediation capabilities. So we have kill and quarantine, which everyone has that. But where we set ourselves apart is our one-click remediation and our one-click rollback. So with the click of a button or automatically, you can automatically remediate a machine, whether it's Windows, Linux, or Mac. And then for Windows, you can even roll back a machine. So if a machine got ransomware, or if there was a disgruntled employee that wanted to delete a bunch of files before they left, with that rollback capability, you can now roll back those files to a time where you had access to those files. So that is a huge differentiator for us. So now instead of having to send a tech to that customer or have that customer mailing machine and re-image that machine and send it back out, now you're able to save time, save resources just by using the SentinelOne platform. So that's a quick high level on how our technology can help you from the endpoint side of things with modern threats. But once again, we don't just stop there. Next slide. We go outside of just the endpoint. So here you can see that not only do we have the endpoint, we have Ranger Insights, Remote Ops, and then we even have a service with our Vigilance service. So I'll dive a little bit into each one of these right now, just to show you how the additional features that we have can help you once again with some of these modern threats that we're seeing today. Next slide. So, so with Singularity Ranger, what this is going to do, this is going to provide you with network visibility that you might not have today. And you're not going to need any extra hardware, any extra software to get this visibility. And the way we're able to do this is we use the SentinelOne agents that you have deployed. Those agents will scan around themselves to see what else is on the network that you might not know about. And not only will we let you know about what else is on your network, we fingerprint those devices as well. So if there's a device out there, maybe you have a phone sitting next to a critical server, now this visibility helps you to see that and maybe, clean up your network mapping a little bit. But also it helps you with some actions that you can run. So let's say we have two different sides of things. Let's say we discover a machine that you don't know about. That's a possible rogue device on your network. Now that you know about it, what can you do? With SentinelOne, you can actually protect your SentinelOne devices by setting a rule out that would say, okay, my SentinelOne devices do not communicate with this possible rogue device and do not allow this possible rogue device to communicate with you. So now you're protecting your devices while you have time to try to find this device and get this device off the network. But what about the other side of the use case? What about it's a possible machine that is one of your machines, but you just missed the provisioning step, and it is supposed to have SentinelOne on it, but doesn't? We also have the ability to do a peer-to-peer install. So you can install SentinelOne on that machine from another SentinelOne device on the network in order to be able to, um, fill that coverage gap that you just discovered. So that's where Ranger Insights not only gives you that network visibility that you have, but we provide you with actions on top of that visibility. And then Ranger Insights, oh, you go.
Well, I wanted to add to that because this is another category that comes up a lot on our partner calls because it opens up the door for the proactive versus reactive conversation, right? As an MSP, it's a huge value add to be able to tell your clients ahead of time that you identified a vulnerability, you identified a threat, right? So having that Ranger be deployed and know when a new device pops up that needs something on there, right? Like that, I think that's a huge advantage, right? If you have QBRs or that you go through with your clients, like quarterly business reviews, quarterly risk reviews, right? A lot of our partners that have already utilized Ranger have that some of the feedback has been, well, when we can sit down and show our clients everything that we have found proactively, I mean, it goes a long way as far as your relationship with your client, your credibility, right? Your trusted advisor, just in general, right? It's a peace of mind to know that those are running in the background, and that's something I think is invaluable, right?
Absolutely, no, that makes perfect sense in how you can weave Ranger into the QBRs and QRRs. So yeah, that definitely makes sense. So with the Ranger family, the next one that we have up is Ranger Insights. So on the next slide with Ranger Insights, what this is going to give you is Ranger Insights is going to give you some vulnerability management. So now you're able to get OS and application level of vulnerabilities all inside the SentinelOne console. And one of the things that we saw with the vulnerability management space is that it's very hard to prioritize vulnerabilities. You only really had low, medium, high, critical, and that's all you really had to prioritize vulnerabilities. So that's where with Ranger Insights, we're not only giving you vulnerabilities, but we're adding third-party threat intelligence on top of those vulnerabilities. So not only can you see is there a critical vulnerability, you can see there's a critical vulnerability that's being exploited in the wild, that's being used by certain threat actors. So now by having all of this extra information, you're able to now know, okay, these vulnerabilities I want to patch ASAP, and some of the other ones I can prioritize later, right? So being able to give you that and have basically a continuous vulnerability assessment on your machines and not having to run weekly or something like that, because we're on those endpoints, you get that continuous vulnerability assessment of those endpoints. Next. And remote ops. So remote ops is going to give you the ability to run scripts against a single machine or your entire fleet of machines. So remote ops can also be used via incidents. So if you have an incident, you can easily deploy a script against that incident. So let's say you have an incident come in and you're like, you know what? I have this script that I want to deploy every time an incident comes in because it pulls username. Well, you get username. It pulls browser data. It pulls, certain information that I want off that machine every single time that an incident happens. You can automatically trigger scripts with remote ops, or if you just wanted to run certain scripts throughout your time. This is where you can use PowerShell or Bash, depending on which operating systems you have in your environment, to be able to run these scripts, customize these scripts, and use them, whether it's part of an incident, just a one-time action on machine, or something you want to deploy to your full fleet of machines in your environment. But we have all these features, but we know that even with our endpoint, you might want someone to help you with that. So that's where the Vigilance service comes into play. Vigilance is our 24/7 by 365 MDR service. So we know that some of our MSPs just don't have the time, don't have the staff to be able to, deal with all the incidents that are going to come in. That's where Vigilance could come into play to help you. Vigilance, their main job is to basically keep that console green. So every single incident that comes in, whether it's a true positive or false positive, they're going to take care of it for you. They're going to take care of those incidents, handle those incidents. And the great thing about it, they're experts in the field, and all of them are SentinelOne employees. So we're not outsourcing this. All of them are SentinelOne employees. So you know that they're invested in SentinelOne, and SentinelOne is invested in Sherweb, and Sherweb is invested in the success of their MSP partners. So we're all invested, and you know that by having this, it will help you with that. And we're not just going to be alert routers. So every alert that comes in, we're not just going to route it to you. They actually handle 99% of the incidents that come in because of being able to use SentinelOne in our remediation capabilities. So they don't have to escalate anything to you when something needs to be remediated. They can handle it for you. The only time that something might needs to be escalated, let's say if there's a compromised user, we'll clean up that endpoint and reach out to you, say, hey, we saw this user being used as part of this attack. Please reset the credentials for this user. So that's where Vigilance can work as an extension of your team to be able to provide you with that 24/7 by 365 security expertise for your customers. Right?
Yeah, and if anyone on this webinar has considered using some sort of service like Vigilance, right? MDR, SOC, like that's what everyone talks about in today's day and age, right? Because automation, right? How much more beneficial is it and efficient to just be able to offload this to the Vigilance team, right? I think it's, in my opinion, one of the biggest game changers when I'm talking to our partners about, hey, what areas are you looking to improve on? Or I'll be talking to our partners and I'll ask them, well, who's monitoring these alerts right now? And half the time it's the CEO. I'm doing it, right? And that is obviously not the most beneficial for your business in a holistic view, right? So every partner that I've talked to that has added some sort of service like Vigilance or made the switch to them, having that extension of your team essentially, because the key too is there, when you're talking about actually pricing and building out your stack, if you can now put in, hey, this is 24/7, 365 monitoring. I mean, that's a priceless ad option, right? I mean, who doesn't want that peace of mind? So absolutely, if you haven't looked into it, take a peek, see what it entails. Nice part about the SentinelOne offering too, which we're going to get into right now, of what it looks like with Sherweb, is the fact that all of the different add-ons that Dwight just kind of gave some high-level information on, you can package this accordingly to your clients, right? And I think that that's really important because a lot of the cases, it's generic across the board, right? If you have a client that has X amount of servers and X amount of workstations, and maybe you have, depending on what vertical they're in, if they have certain compliance requirements or, just different regulations, you can cater to their specific needs with the different add-ons. So when you if you're a partner with Sherweb and you have SentinelOne through Sherweb, it's a really, really straightforward process of packaging it, right? Because you have your base 2 packages, Singularity Control, Singularity Complete, and then from there, that's when you can start building out your stack. And we'll get into a little bit too, for those of you on this call that maybe you already have SentinelOne and you're utilizing it elsewhere. We'll definitely talk about what are the benefits of bringing that business to your Sherweb account. Maybe you're already a partner, want to know, well, what is different? We'll talk about that a little bit as well. But I think it's important to note that you can really get granular on a per client basis. And also, Dwight, correct me if I'm wrong, but um, you can actually have different SKUs within one specific client as well, right? One site, like for different devices, different agents, correct?
Correct. Yes. So you can have different add-ons for different sites.
Which I think is hugely beneficial. If you have different size clients, small to medium size, right? Oftentimes they don't want the whole package, right? Um, Diving a little bit more specific. So again, what is the benefit of having your SentinelOne business with Sherweb, right? Why not bundle it all together? What does that look like, right? So when we brought on SentinelOne, it was a very, very highly anticipated partnership, right? Of course, right? Like I said, there was a lot of hype around it, so we had to deliver, right? We had to make sure that we were prepared as an operational standpoint, but also as an actual business move, right? For you as the MSP, as the partner, right? We wanted to make it make sense for you. And a couple of things that we did. Number one, right off the bat, right? Pricing is always top of mind, right? So we have put together a very, very competitive pricing structure for our partners. So whether you're looking to transfer licenses, we have those conversations regularly, or if you're looking to get started, right? We know what the market is, we know where the value is, and we want to help you guys have that margin built in right off the bat, right? We want to make it so it is a win-win on all capacities. One piece too, the Singularity Platform. When we say full access, we mean full access, right? Because there are cases in different disties that I've learned where they might have packages for SentinelOne. You might not have full access to every feature or tool or function, right? If you have SentinelOne through your Sherweb partnership, there are no limitations. Some of the other pieces that like the S1 marketplace, for example, right? All the different APIs and integrations that SentinelOne already have built in, you can utilize those from day one. One other piece that a lot of our partners are really, really excited about getting through their Sherweb partnership with SentinelOne is access to SentinelOne's partner program, their partner university, right? That's something that we provide. It's part of your partnership. It's just included with that perk, so to say, so that way you can get your team certified, right? SentinelOne has an amazing box of resources, sales decks, marketing, right? Whatever it might be. And but also the big one is training. We have a lot of our partners that are so excited to have their techs go in and get certified, right? And I tell them, I say, look, they're not easy, right? Our team went through them as well. They're hours of intense training and certifications, but it's a huge benefit for you as the MSP to be able to utilize those tools and resources right off the bat. And then, of course, obviously very important as well, if you're not familiar with the Sherweb model, everything's month to month, right? So if you want to become a SentinelOne partner and you're not sure exactly what that looks like, there's no commitment, there's no risk, right? We set you up as a partner, you get in there and you can really dissect the program, the partnership, the perks, the benefits, and basically kind of go as you please. Dive into specifically, again, I touched on a little bit of any of you on the call who already have SentinelOne, you're already utilizing SentinelOne, maybe just not through Sherweb. There's two things that come up on almost every call that I have with our partners over the last 3 months of obvious concern is, number one, the word migration is not a word that MSPs tend to like, right? It usually opens the door for headaches, and we totally understand that. And then the next piece that comes up is, well, what is support like? Are we going to lose support? Is it going to be a nightmare down the road once we grow and scale our business? And so those are two topics, again, that we were very, very proactively, we as in the Sherweb team internally working with SentinelOne in preparation for the launch. So a couple things I can speak on as far as the migration goes, and we can get more in depth offline if any of you are want to look at what this process is on a step-by-step. But bottom line is we put together a very much white glove process for this migration. There's very little that you have to do on your end. There's a few items you need to provide to our team: API token key, admin access so we can get into the environment. But basically, the gist is, I always like, it's a peace of mind. I like to make sure our partners know that, hey, look, this is not something that you and your team need to dedicate a week or two, and it's a new project. Um, Bulk of the heavy lifting is done by our team. Mostly transfers have been getting done in about a day, and we're talking whether it's 100 seats or a couple thousand seats, right? So very, very successful so far. You can see some of the feedback that we've received from some of our partners, because again, it's a healthy fear when we're talking migration processes and transfers and what does that look like. So we're very happy at the success that we've had so far. And then on the support side, that's another thing that we were very proactive about, because we know how that conversation goes, right? The certifications I was mentioning a little bit, 45 employees internally. We've gone through different certifications, both on sales and technical aspects. But in addition to that, we also have, I believe we had 5 specific S1 agents that went through 13 plus hours of certifications on specifically on technical support training. So just to put our partners' mind at ease so that they know the investment that we did on the back end. So that way, the idea is if you do have an issue, and it's SentinelOne related, you don't need to go bouncing around from place to place. We have a team internally that is very equipped, knowledgeable, and ready to provide that support. And if for whatever reason we can't, we have processes in place that it will get escalated to S1 directly. We work with them all the time. So that's kind of the bottom line there. And again, we can dive into that more separately if any of you have questions, concerns on that. But something that comes up, and like I said, we're very prepared for it, and we've had some success so far. Wrapping up here, I'm just seeing how we're doing on time. I think we're okay. But dive in a little bit. I want to expand on the Sherweb partner benefits. So not just what it looks like with SentinelOne, but again, for any of you who are on this call who aren't a Sherweb partner, if you're interested, what does that look like? First of all, it's free to become a partner, right? You can sign up as a Sherweb partner. It doesn't cost you anything. Right off the bat, you get access to all of the different platforms, right? If you're looking at, well, what type of onboarding do we have, like integrations? You can see billing integrations, ConnectWise, AutoTask, Kaseya, TigerPaw, QuickBooks Online. The goal is simplicity, automation, and if we can help you consolidate a lot of these and go through billing and reporting, that is definitely going to improve your operational efficiency on the back end. Then it's a win for everybody. Not for resales, absolutely part of the package, part of the partnership there. SentinelOne, you get up to 25 free licenses. So again, if you're maybe exploring options, if you don't really know exactly the route you want to go, it's a great opportunity to kick the tires, test the waters. One thing that I loved about SentinelOne when I first really dove into it, that Dwight brought to my attention really early on, I heard him in one of the meetings we had, is the fact of when you deploy an agent, you have the detect and protect mode, right? And the reason I thought that was so beneficial and our partners loved is because we have a lot of partners that maybe are using a different product already, and they've got a lot of seats already invested, right? So that can be a daunting fear if you're an MSP and you've been with a product for 5+ years, whatever it might be, and you don't know if you want to make that switch and go through the migration or uninstalling agents and whatever that process might entail. With SentinelOne, what's really cool is you can not only do the NFR, you can set up trials, but you can run their products simultaneously in detect mode to still gather that information. And I love the term because it's true. The proof is in the pudding at that point, right? You can go for 30 days and you can see the results. So you can let the process sell it for you. I think that's a really, really important piece there. So a little bit of an overview there. Again, questions, concerns, feel free to throw them in the chat. We can have separate conversations of what that looks like if you're looking to become a partner, or if you're already a partner and maybe you're not utilizing all of the different benefits that are included. That is also a huge topic of conversation of what that looks like. I'm going to pass it right back to you, Dwight, to give us some sneak peek Christmas information here.
Absolutely. So once again, modern defenses for modern threats. You can't be a modern defense if you don't continue to innovate. Because the attackers are going to continue to innovate, so we have to do the same. So a couple of the innovations that we do have coming up soon. The first is going to be our Singularity Data Lake. The next is going to be Purple AI. So with our Singularity Data Lake, next slide, that's going to be where you can get all your data into one place. So with the Singularity Data Lake, we're going to be able to simplify ingestion for you. So one of the things that we saw with data ingestion platforms is that ingestion is one of the difficult things to do, getting data in, and which is the most important part. So we try to make that a lot easier for you all. So whether it's cloud to cloud ingestion, we make that easy, or if it's on-prem syslog ingestion, we make that easy as well. Cloud to cloud ingestion is just a click of a couple buttons, as well as putting in some API information, and then you're good to go. So we saw that in the area, and we wanted to make sure that we make that part easy for you guys, as well as advanced analysis and alerting, and then as well as hunting and investigation. So all of those is something we definitely want to help with. As far as using our technology, we're a technology first company. We don't want to depend on people, right? We want to use the technology to help release the burden of a lot of that. So you'll see a little bit more soon to come. And then lastly, long-term retrieval. Since we are a cloud-based data solution, we're able to keep a lot of that big data even longer because of the way we were built. So you can have years of data in a queryable format instead of having it into some offline cold format. So you have to rehydrate it and then be able to search it. We're able to have it in a searchable format for as long as you need it. Not as long as you need it. We can always have some crazy. Do I get it for 1,000 years? No, maybe not. But for a very long time, and it can be searchable. Next slide. So with all this data, we know that sometimes it's a little bit difficult to make sense of the information. That's where Purple AI comes into play. So Purple AI is not only going to be a chatbot, right? Purple AI is going to be an assistant that's going to help you in multiple facets. So it's going to be able to empower your analysts or just anyone as part of your organization, where if you're reading a blog, you're doing something, you're like, hey, are we seeing any types of lateral movement in our environment? Put in that exact same question in Purple AI. Purple AI will create a query for you. So you can see the exact query that it's using. It will provide you with that data. Then at the bottom, it would actually summarize that data for you, saying, yes, we see lateral movement. We see this device has the most cases of lateral movement. We see this username being used the most. So it will actually summarize that data for you. Then lastly, it will even provide you with follow-up questions that you can do. So we're not just a chatbot, we're an actual assistant that's going to be able to empower you to be able to make sense of some of this information, even if you don't know the query language. And that is going to help you with accelerating threat hunting or being able to do threat hunting that you're not able to do today and integrate into your workflows by using what we call our notebooks. So if you have certain things that you always want to ask it, we'll have these notebooks that you can create. And now you can say, hey, you analysts, go ahead and run these notebooks against this customer. And now they'll know exactly which questions to ask, which information to look for that customer. So the notebooks is going to be a great way to actually integrate it into your workflows. And once again, taking it from just AI chatbot to an actual assistant that can help you. And this is what you can see, the notebooks, how you can create a notebook by using some of the questions that you might have. And you can create that notebook. You can generate reports from the notebooks. You can share notebooks, or you can have your own notebooks. So this is where it's going to take it to another level.
Yeah, absolutely, good stuff. And then the AI, right? If you're not using AI, you're going to fall behind, and that just is what it is in today's day, right? It's AI is one of those topics right now where it's scary, but it's also exciting, right? You're always in between. But the truth is, if we're not utilizing it, we're going to fall behind, especially when we're talking cybersecurity, because of all the new and improved, right? As we improve, so are the cyber criminals, right? And that's something that again ties back to that proactive conversation. So that Purple AI is definitely very exciting. We're hoping to dive right into that. I know we already have partners that have been asking about things along this line, and so that we're very excited to roll this out to our partners and start having some demos and conversations for sure. Looking at the time, I think we're surprisingly doing very well on time, which is rare because I tend to talk a lot. So I think that's perfect. I know just to kind of bring everything full circle, and then we'll open up some question and answer. Just from a security conversation, and Dwight and I talked a lot about this last week in San Diego. When we're building out your security stack, right? You're looking at your posture as an MSP. The one thing that stays true is that it has to be layered, right? We have to have layers on top of everything, because there's no such thing as a one size fits all when it comes to cybersecurity, right? And that's one of the pieces that I have a lot of conversation with our partners as far as the capabilities with the add-ons for SentinelOne of being able to build out different packages. It gives the MSP a lot of flexibility to cover many areas, check many boxes, without having to have a ton of moving parts, right? Nobody wants to have 10 different vendors and 10 different portals. So I think that's a really important piece to kind of keep in mind. And then, of course, when you bring it all together, right, if you're a Sherweb partner and you already have other business with Sherweb, this is one more piece of the pie that you can consolidate, right? Not only is it going to be part of your security conversations, right, but now for you on the back end, on the operational, that's a really important piece to factor in. And I think my information's up here too. So if anyone on the call, if you guys are interested in learning more about SentinelOne with Sherweb, or if you have business with SentinelOne already and you want to look at what that migration I was talking about in more depth, please feel free, shoot me an email. My information's on the screen right here. We're doing these all the time, whether you're a net new to Sherweb, to SentinelOne. We can get the right resources on the call. Dwight is always more than happy to dive in on some calls with us as well. So we're very much so prepared and ready for these conversations. So please don't hesitate to reach out and see if we can help you guys out. And one last thing on the migration too, as I mentioned, right, the competitive pricing that we put together, right, that's obviously a topic of conversation. We're more than happy to look at what you have already in place and see what makes sense for you and your team. So again, feel free to reach out. And I think we'll wrap up with some questions. I think we've got maybe 7 more minutes.
Yeah. I have a couple I already want to touch on. You probably saw my response already in the chat, but I definitely want to touch on them live as well. So with our rollback capability, how does it work? What do we use? So the rollback capability is available for Windows. And what we do is we actually utilize the built-in function of Windows with VSS. So we're utilizing VSS to take our snapshots to be able to provide that rollback capability. And how do we keep that protected? And the way we keep it protected is that we actually harden our VSS snapshots. So if an attacker comes on, one of the first things an attacker does is try to delete your volume shadow copies. So when they do that, we actually intercept that command and send them back an OK. So they'll believe that they deleted our volume shadow copies, but in essence, they haven't, and our volume shadow copies are still there in place. And the reason why we utilize VSS is because now that keeps our agent nice, lightweight. We don't need any extra storage for our agent, any extra bloatware. So that is really a benefit to utilize VSS, and it's actually a patented way of doing it. So you won't see anyone else be able to do it. The other one was
you're essentially tricking the intruder, right, into
correct.
thinking they're succeeding, and then you get to hit them with a gotcha moment, right?
Absolutely. The next one was the Ranger. So how are you able to do a peer-to-peer install if it's a rogue device? Definitely that use case was if it's one of your devices and that device might have missed SentinelOne install or something like that. So that device will probably have one of your service accounts set up. So during the Ranger setup, you will actually have those credentials inside of SentinelOne, highly protected inside of vaults with certs and keys. So that's how you'll be able to do the peer-to-peer install, is that we will use that service account that you provided to do that peer-to-peer install to do that. Also, someone asked, do we support Mac OS? Absolutely. I actually use a Mac myself, and we eat our own dog food, right? So we want to make sure that we are protected. So we're going to make sure that Macs are protected, as well as Linux, as well as Kubernetes. So we have a wide range of OSs that we support. Even Microsoft. I like to say that we support more Windows than Microsoft themselves because we support Windows 7. We even have a legacy agent that will go back to Windows XP. All right. There was another one. Ah, to what extent does S1 protect Microsoft 365? So we don't necessarily protect M365. Later on, when we have the data lake available to you guys, you'll be able to put your M365 logs in there, where you will get that extra visibility into it, but we won't necessarily protect M365 for you just yet. Right. Does Vigilance team utilize the data lake and Purple AI to detect and react on your behalf? No, not really. So they're just going to be looking at SentinelOne incidents, and they're going to be looking at all the data as well that you have incomplete. So if you do have an incident on machine A using user B, we're going to not only clean up that incident, but now they will dive into your complete data to see, okay, is that user A looking at anything else? Is there another machine that hasn't necessarily triggered yet that we need to take care of? Is it an IP address that is coming from that we need to put a firewall rule to lock down? So we are looking through not only just the incident itself, but all of your logs, all of your telemetry data that we send up as part of your complete package in order to be able to not only handle this one incident, but threat hunt around this incident in order to be able to, stop the incident and stop any other type of um, uh, initial pieces of the attack that they might have put on any other machines. When is the SIM or data lake option coming? I can't provide dates, especially on a recording. That will definitely get me in trouble. But it's going to be coming shortly. So that is a big thing for this year is the data lake as well as our Purple AI. So I cannot provide dates, but I promise you it's something that's big for us, and you will see it via Sherweb soon.
Yeah, and as I say, if you're a Sherweb partner, we will have those communications prepared as soon as we get them, like Dwight said as well. So we'll certainly be providing all of our partners with updates on what's to come and whether or not there are options of getting sneak peeks and things. Right, we always have whatever capabilities we can look into. So you'll definitely be notified as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. And the last one that I see up here, any plans to do SASE or zero trust? No. So as far as any roadmap items or anything that I've seen, we do not have any plans to do that. We're still an open platform. We're not a closed platform that say, hey, only use us. So we'll usually go into areas that we see as, areas that complement us the best, but we also encourage you guys to use best of breed, right? So as Matthew mentioned earlier, we actually have a marketplace that will integrate with a lot of these best of breed products. So for SASE and Zero Trust, we have integrations for, let's say, Zscaler. And now with that Zscaler integration, it actually pulls data from Zscaler into incidents. So now if I have an incident where I have this user that's on this machine, and now with that Zscaler information, and say, not only does this user trigger this incident, this user is in this IT group, is in this privilege group. These are the locations they came from recently. So now with that data, in addition to our incident data, we're able to enrich that so we can get a better indication of what happened. And also you can actually do actions inside of Zscaler from SentinelOne. So for that same example, now I can say, while I'm working this incident, go ahead and put that user in a restricted group instead of that IT domain group that they're usually in. until I finish this incident, and then I can put them back in their normal group. Long answer to your SASE and zero trust plans question, but yeah, so we don't have plans for it, but we are an open platform that integrate with the best of breed, and we actually encourage using best of breed products.
I think that's all of them, right? I don't think I see any.
That's another question, Matt and Dwight. We've got another last question on Atera. So is there any integration with Atera?
With the last one there, is there an integration with Atera?
No, I don't know who Atera is.
I would so that would be a no.
IT platform. So no, we do not have integration with them. However, if it's an integration that is interesting to you, definitely bubble that up through your Sherweb team, because we definitely want to know what integrations are important to our MSP partners, and and that's how we're able to let our PMs know and our business development teams know, so that they can go ahead and get those in the pipeline.
Nope. One last one just came through. Does it integrate with SOC, Blackpoint Cyber?
I believe they might have an integration with us. Usually what we see with a lot of the companies like that is that all they need is an API token from us, and they will basically suck our alerts into their own platform that they create. And I believe that's what Blackpoint Cyber does, as well as a lot of similar companies to that, those big MDRs and MSSP companies. That's kind of what they do. So I believe Blackpoint Cyber does that, whereas you can just provide them with an API token for your environment, and they will just basically suck out those incidents from your environment to their platform that they build. And that's how they're able to go ahead and stay in their platform and provide that security for you.
Beautiful. Well, I know we're a little over on time anyway. Last one I just saw, where can I book a more technical demo? Pascal, if you're a Sherweb partner already, reach out to your account manager, or if you want, take my email on there and shoot me an email, and we can get something set up. That would be your easiest route. And I see one last one that just came in from Conrad. I don't see that one, Dwight. Have S1 integrated with RMM? Can I switch over?
It depends on which RMM. Some of them want you to get it through them. Some of them don't. So it depends on which RMM it is. Will depend on the answer to that question.
Yeah, and Conrad, same answer for we gave Pascal, right? If you want to dive into specifics, feel free to reach out to myself, or again, if you're a Sherweb partner, reach out to your rep. They'll get me involved. But feel free. We can dissect on a per client per basis, right? Whatever environments you got set up, and we can see what makes sense. Beautiful. Well, perfect. I know we're already over on time. Appreciate everybody joining us again. Thank you for the questions.
We've got the hands on from Nicholas Everett. I don't know if you want to speak out, Nicholas. I will unmute you. I think you've got your hands on. Is it correct? You're unmuted.
Yeah, sorry, I had a question more around the fully managed component and pricing, and does that do you have to purchase that separate from the XDR, or is that an all-in price?
So you mean the vigilance?
The managed portion that you were speaking of. Yeah.
Yeah, I can take that for you. So the vigilance is an add-on that can be paired with complete. So I don't know if I can go back to that slide right now, but it is not a requirement of a holistic. You can add that right on top of a complete SKU.
So complete would be, starting price at $385 US. Do we have an idea of what the starting price for the managed component on top of that is?
Yes, it's $175 US for a base partner price at Sherweb.
Okay, thank you.
And Nicholas, if you're already a Sherweb partner, you of course then you have your tiered partner discount pricing that's automatically thrown in. So in Cumulus, it will have that updated pricing for you. And again, we can dissect as well. If you want to have a conversation, shoot me an email.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Any last minute questions from anyone, or we love the questions. Seriously, the feedback is really helpful for us. That's why we do that. The more questions, that means we said a couple interesting things at least. So it's beneficial for us. Again, this is recorded, so you will have access to it. Anyone else who wants to do a deeper dive, set up a demo, whatever it might be, dissect what you have in place, feel free to shoot me an email, your rep at Sherweb, and we can peel back the layers together and see what makes sense and answer questions. So again, thank you everybody. Dwight, as always, appreciate your time, your wisdom, and we'll keep going and enjoy the Easter weekend to everybody as well.
Absolutely,
I
thank
just want
you.
to say that we are going to have a second webinar with SentinelOne at the end of May. So look into your inbox for the next invite.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.